Hi friends, Mindy here. I have a little project that I'm going to be trying today. This is going to be kind of a craft with me. A while back, you may remember I had done some coffee dyeing of this receipt paper, and toward the center of the roll, I didn't have enough coffee, and I had kind of just let it sit in there to see if I could, what it would soak up. And so it only kind of, did this top edge and a little bit on the bottom. And so instead of trying to re-coffee dye this or whatever, I have another idea that involves kind of making a masterboard of sorts, a collage masterboard. But I'm going to be using these labels. These are the vintage labels. I think labels from days gone by is what they're called, from the Junk Journal Studio. And as you can see, I have just a ton of them. I have fussy cut them. This isn't even all of them. And I have some of them in an ephemera holder, but these are other ones that I just haven't done yet. And I thought what I could do is glue them on here, and because this is so thin, I think that this will give it a little bit of stability, because I printed these on pretty good cardstock. And then I can turn around and trim these down and use them for tags or for pockets, or just some really neutral backdrop for some journals. So I'm gonna give that a try, and we'll see how it works. But I think it should be okay. It's a good size. These are like 3 inches wide. So I'm not sure yet if I'm gonna do them vertically or horizontally. I may just mix it up so that they're all going different directions. That way I don't have to worry about it, so that when I cut it apart, I can use it exactly, however I want to. So I'm just going to put you on fast forward. I'm going to glue a bunch of this stuff down, and we will cut it down and see what happens. The good thing about printables, I can always print these again. I have, other ones, like I said. These are just the ones that I hadn't gotten into my ephemera holder yet. So as you can tell, there's a lot of them. And I thought this would be a good way to kind of use some of these up too, and give an interesting background to kind of work on. So again, I'm just going to put you on fast forward, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so I thought I was filming, and I was not, but basically all I did was I used my Yoo-Hoo glue stick, and I had a little, glue book down, and I just glued all of these labels down just very randomly. I layered some, I overlapped some, I made sure that they were all going in different directions. So I'm just going to show you what this looks like before I actually cut it up. I just kind of went to a natural breaking point in the paper where the paper had torn. I'll show you that when we get to the end, but you can kind of see what this looks like now. And then I'm going to do what I would do with the regular Collage Masterboard, and I'm going to blind cut it, meaning I'm going to flip it over so that I can't actually see. So right here at the edge, the paper was torn. I'll show you here. So instead of just continuing on, I just decided to stop because it was getting a little unwieldy at this particular length. So I'm going to now flip this over and get out my trimmer, and I am going to blind cut this, and then we will turn this into some tags and some pockets, I think. Okay, so I've turned this over, and I'm going to pull out my trimmer here. This is just an old trimmer. You could really use anything. You could use scissors. You can use whatever. I'm just using this one because it fits on my desk really well, and it's a good size for this strip. So because I mentioned these are about 3 inches wide, I'm going with about 4.5 inches long. That way I can kind of decide if I want to turn these into tags or if I want to turn them into pockets. But I like to be able to do this blind, because otherwise I spend too much time thinking about it. So I did decide here that I'm going to also do a little bit of like some corner tuck spots. But for the most part, everything is really roughly 4.5 inches. And then here's where I'm cutting the 3x3 squares for those tuck spots. And I'll show you what that looks like. And then I have this kind of end piece. So one of these ends up just a little bit longer than 4.5, and that is fine too. But there's really no rhyme or reason to where I cut, how I did. I just wanted to just vary everything, but I didn't want to try to dictate that by being able to see all of the labels. So you can see here, I just took those squares and cut them diagonally, and then these will be kind of corner tuck spots, either up at the top or like opposite pages. I just did a couple of those to see how I liked those. But for the most part, the rest of these are just the rectangle size. So I'm just kind of looking at each one, trying to determine what I want to do. There's a few that I had to kind of square up the edge where I may have glued something crooked or whatever. So you'll see me kind of pull my trimmer back out. And this is a very quick process. This was actually a great way to use up some scraps, or in this case, just a bunch of labels. I didn't even put a dent in all of the labels that I have. So you can see I'm using an EK Success corner punch, circle punch. It's like the 2 1/4 inch. And then my We Are Memory Keepers corner rounder, and also my We Are Memory Keepers punch that does the tab. If you don't have one of those, you could certainly just use a template that you make yourself or whatever. It's just that punch is very, very useful. So, and I really, really like the 2 1/4 inch punch for making pockets. You could certainly use a smaller, thumb notch, but I like the bigger one just personally. And then there were 2 of the cards that I ended up just making into journaling cards. I may make them into something else in the future, but for right now, there's a couple that I just rounded all of the corners because I feel like I couldn't decide which way I wanted them oriented. And so if I have them just tucked in a pocket, I can always add a focal image and stuff on here later, like a really bold color or something like that, or just use these just as they are in kind of a vintage style journal. Again, you'll see me just trimming these down, but this was just a really quick process. It was really actually fun. Sometimes, you want to be creative, but you don't want to get into like really, really involved projects. Something like this is really good because you're getting your hands busy, you're being creative, but there's really no thinking that you have to do. You're just gluing stuff down. And when I glued everything down, it was very random. I just tried to make sure that I had some that were facing, all the different directions. And then I kind of went back through with some smaller pieces and layered over where some of the seams of all of those pieces were. And it was really just as simple as that. And then I trimmed them all down. So, again, a super simple process for when you're just wanting to do something, but something kind of, low key, I guess. I like doing these types of projects. And so I had this sitting on my desk and I thought I would just try it out and see what happened and bring you along for the ride. I did peel that little piece off on the edge because it was crooked and it was driving me crazy. So I glued that one down with some art glitter glue there at the end. That's what you saw me do right there because I just couldn't handle it because it was crooked. Anyway, I'm just going to punch this and then round these corners, and I will give you a little bit better of a close-up. But these are, again, the Junk Journal Studio. I believe these are the labels from days gone by, and there's so many to choose from, and they're like one of my favorite things to pull out because you can layer them well. They make great focal points. They're just a good printable to have, and then being able to, print them out as many times as you need is also always a good thing. So you can see me again just trimming this one up. I don't know, this one had some more issues with it, and there was like some empty space kind of at the bottom, so I just trimmed that down. This is one of the ones where I just could not decide how I wanted this one. There were different aspects that I liked, but because most of it was busy and then there was like that one little section that wasn't quite as busy, it was throwing off the balance in my brain, I guess. I don't know. So I decided this one just gets to be a journaling card. And then that will make it easier if I do want to add some kind of focal point or something, or if I decide to make it a tag. You can always add things to these later, but they just give a really good base to jump off of. And so I'm going to just go through here and kind of give you a quick close-up. So those were the 2 tags that I created. These are the 2 journaling cards. And then I have 3 little pockets here, I think, and then 4 of those little tuck spots. So quite a bit for just a few minutes of gluing things down. So if you like this video, I'd appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and until next time, bye.